Good morning, Noah. How are you?
Good morning, Hugh. I'm well. Good to see you.
I have two things to talk to you about. First, your career choices. I am reading about NVIDIA and the fact that artificial intelligence, NVIDIA is going to be up like a gazillion dollars today, and all of the other AI stocks are, because AI is real and it's really happening. I've been in this business since 1990. I first went on the air in 1990, and I have not been off the air for 34 years. I don't know if I was your age, if I'd make writing my choice given what AI is going. Do you worry about that? Do you look over your shoulder and worry about AI?
I don't look over my shoulder and worry about AI. Not necessarily because the career choices I've made have been the most lucrative, but because I do feel like there's a certain value that AI cannot replicate and will not be able to replicate. AI is a farming mechanism. It's something that duplicates quotidian writing. It doesn't replicate interesting, creative, thoughtful writing. It'll tell you.
Can you? We've got a station in Pittsburgh, Noah. So you've got to slow down with the quotidian words. You want to explain what quotidian is for the Steelers fans?
It's just a sort of a banal.
You're not going to hit the Steelers fan. They think banal is something that's got a yellow skin.
Banal is not helping.
Not.
Okay, sorry. I'm going to take it down a couple of notches. It'll tell you what you want to hear. It'll feed you back it'll feed you back what your biases are. Now, there's a huge market for that. It also has a tendency, as we've noticed over the last news cycle, with regard to this AI imaging product by Google, that it is subject to manipulation by people who have their own biases. That its utility is limited deliberately by people who don't trust their users, who don't think you should have access to unfettered information to explore your own desires, your own impulses, your own curiosity. If that's the ceiling that's going to be imposed on this tool, it will forever be have limited utility, limited value.
Well, let me ask you. You've written a lot. How long have you been being paid as a journalist?
2010.
Okay, so you've been in this game for almost 15 years.
I never worked for free again.
I don't work for free either. I don't believe in working for free. First piece I wrote that was published and I was paid for was 1979. So if AI comes along and I say, Hugh Hewitt, AI, Ukraine, they'll be able to turn out a Hugh Hewitt piece on Ukraine pretty quickly, because I've written a lot about Ukraine. You've written about Ukraine this morning. Don't you worry that they could say, we want Noah Rothman piece on Ukraine, and that they'll be able to figure out what it is?
I mean, it could probably anticipate what my outlook is, but it couldn't anticipate what I'm thinking about today, what my years of study have produced. My years of study of the former Soviet space have led me to conclude and to analyze events in real time with that historical background is not something that I think AI can duplicate. It can duplicate it after I've already done it, but I have to do it first. So
how do we even know it's you?
I do think
we don't even know that you are you right now. We're not even sure that that's you. That could be just an AI-generated Noah Rothman.
This is a mind-blowing experience, Hugh. We are getting deep into the matrix here.
All right, then let's get out of the matrix. 17 minutes ago, you tweeted, Biden isn't off the hook for Ukraine's peril. I don't know if you know Alex Ward at Politico. Politico is hard left. Politico is when it's talking about domestic politics, it's just the DNC. But Alex Ward is a serious national security reporter, and his new book called The Internationalist, you think, oh gosh, this is going to be a whitewash job for Biden. It's not. Boy, did they screw up Ukraine. All through the fall, before they got invaded, Ukraine was asking for help, and they wanted to send them $200 million. The next year, they sent them $54 billion. They got it completely wrong. They thought Kyiv would fall in 7 days. Alex brings the goods. You write about it today. Do you think America understands how badly Biden, like his boss before him, Obama, screwed up Ukraine?
No, just because he's been saying all the right things, and that's actually that applies to his conduct and handling of the Israel's war against Hamas. I have Alex's book on my shelf. I've been talking with him about it. I hadn't had the chance to review it or read about it, as you wrote about it today in a very good piece on Fox News. And I wanted to, but Alexei Navalny's assassination intervened. But I'm not surprised if the public generally is kind of supportive of Ukraine. The polling is a little mixed, actually, and it's mostly just a test of partisan impulses. But no, if they were to review the record, they would see that Joe Biden has done everything he possibly can to limit American involvement in this conflict, spending the first 2 years of the war hemming and hawing and doing this weird dance where he would say, oh, Ukraine needs everything, but we're not going to give them anything that they desire, that they ask for, until we see battlefield successes. That's what shook loose HIMARS. That's what shook loose a variety of other platforms.
Oh, we don't want to send them fighter jets, and then they send them fighter jets. Yeah, it happened again and again and again.
And then they shifted to, once this strategy began to fail, they shifted to giving them these platforms they need only after they've witnessed them fail. That's what shook loose ATACMS rather, and that's what has apparently shaken loose cluster munitions. And now we're talking about the disbursement of long-range ATACMS munitions, long-range rockets, which the Biden administration has never wanted to do for fear of, God forbid, they actually end up striking Russian staging areas in occupied territories and across the border. Didn't want to do that. That was too provocative. We were hearing about how that was going to happen in September of last year, any minute now. And only today are we beginning to discuss this seriously after Avdiivka's fallen, after we're talking about retrograde operations around Robotyne. All these places are now coming apart, and the Biden administration says, well, we got to get serious about this now. Too late! And they should be held to account for it. They want to pass it off on Republicans in Congress, and Republicans in Congress might give Joe Biden the opportunity to weasel out of the consequences of his own actions. They shouldn't.
Just like the border. They might. Now, J.D. Vance is eloquent. He's a friend of mine, and he's wrong about Ukraine. And I believe we ought to send everything that moves that's a weapon there. And it may not be too late, because trench warfare is pretty brutal on both sides to try and go over the top. But Noah, the key question for Donald Trump is, what is he going to say about Ukraine? He has walked a very fine line in the primaries. I think he's waiting to see which way this wind breaks. But I want him to come out for Ukraine. Do you think there's much of a chance he will?
Well, I don't know, because frankly, I don't know what he's doing. This ambiguity that he's cultivating is a little hard to believe, given the amount of people around him, including his own son, who have said exactly what J.D. Vance and his ilk are saying about Ukraine. So I believe that his sympathies and sentiments are with his own movement. And I don't think he would try to go against his own movement. When he encounters something that is counter to the idea of the nationalistic, populistic sentiments that he's supposed to be the champion of, he has a tendency to comport more with their desires than his own. But we don't know what his desires are, and frankly, this is too important an issue to be ambiguous about. So I don't know what he's doing.
It's okay as a primary strategy. It's not okay as the president. As the president, and this is the problem with Biden, Biden can't rally support for Ukraine because he can't rally support for anything, Noah. It requires the ability to take the podium and speak with a bit of emotion and a bit of delivery and a bit of drama. And that's not going to come out of this president, is it?
Because he doesn't want to be a war president. He's not, if you knew everything we know about Joe Biden ahead of his presidency was that he would be a horrible foreign policy president, in part because of his timidity. He is committed to this idea of, back to Alex Ward, internationalism, quasi-pacifism. He sees America as a bridge builder, a peacemaker, not as a hyperpower capable of projecting power across the world in order to make definitive conclusions, establish definitive conclusions on the battlefield. He's allergic to definitive approaches to conflicts. He doesn't like conflict. That's fine. But you're the president of the United States, and now as a result of your timidity, you've got two hot wars on the planet, with a third one brewing in the Pacific. And it's in part a response to our adversaries who look on the chessboard here and see a window of opportunity that isn't going to last forever. They're taking as much advantage of it as possible, and it's directly attributable to Joe Biden.
No, I suggested to Alex that if I had done the subtitle for his book, it would have been Appeasement. It's back and it still doesn't work because that's the Biden years. Noah C. Rothman on X. He's writing about Ukraine today. Go and read him. Go and follow him on X.